This product sucks. I would love to launch my own startup. I can make it so much better. So much better. Or, wow, this startup thing is so hard. Sometimes I wish I could just go back to a regular job, enjoy my weekends and my nights. Is this something that sounds familiar to any of you? Have you thought about it yourself, or maybe you heard it from someone else? I think we've all had this in the past, at some point of our lives. And the thing is, it's totally fine. We humans are built to be risk averse, right? We like what we have right now. We have some ambitions, some envies, but it's looking like a gamble. It's risky. We don't like this. And so we don't take that next step. What if there would be a way not to take that risk and combine everything that you like the best of both worlds, without, or at least minimizing, the disadvantages? So before I get started, a bit of a disclaimer. The materials and information represent my personal views, and opinions do not necessarily reflect the stance or position of Yelp. This is only presented to you for informational purposes, so I hope we have a great time. So, hey, a bit of an intro. Moin, since we're in Hamburg. My name is Antoine. Look at this great picture we just shot. I am a product designer by trade and also a tech entrepreneur, bootstrapped. I am married. I have 2 kids. I enjoy playing football, but I really, really suck at it. I tried everything. I just couldn't get it to work. So keep on playing. I don't keep on improving, but that's good. I like to watch football, though, so I'm a big St. Pauli fan for those in Hamburg. If there are any SV supporters, I'm looking at you. I heard some love. So I've moved around quite a lot. I'm originally from France, Belfort. Here it's kind of a small town in the German, Swiss border. But when I was 19, I moved to Riga in Latvia to work for a startup as a founding designer. I then went on to move to Jyväskylä in central Finland, where I stayed for 3 years. Then Zagreb in Croatia, and finally, 7 years ago, to Hamburg here in Germany, which is what I call home now. You can follow me on X, right? X, or whatever it's called now. My handle is my name, so Antoine Minou. I'm sharing some of the things that I find interesting, so you won't get spam from me. I'm not trying to farm for engagement or anything like this, just some things that I think could benefit others that I find funny. So previously, I launched 2 companies. The first of it, kind of the success that we had, the first success that we had with my co-founder, was Voilà Norbert. It was an email finder thing, lead finder product, which we sold a few years ago to Sujan Patel and Bob Senoff at Ram Ventures. They integrated that in their line of product along Mailshake and Write-Inbox, for example. And going through this acquisition, we understood that, yeah, it's really freaking hard, the whole process, talking with lawyers, going through escrow, a lot of gotchas here and there, like how you are going around. It was just making sense for something of this scale, and for an exit, there was like 6-figure and something like this, so relatively small, but still big. We thought, but there are so many smaller side projects from developers that launch something, tools, but that never really managed to monetize it, and they kind of abandoned it. What if there would be a marketplace to just quickly, easily buy and sell those side projects? So this is when we funded TransferSlot, And it was great, actually. Picked up. We were like featured really high on Product Hunt, Lifehacker, and Hacker News, and all of those publications. But then we realized we turned into brokers. We're like, oh, I don't want to be a broker. I don't want to be on phone calls all day. We're like tech people. I'm a product designer. My co-founder is a backend like software engineer. So we sold it. Got acquired. Funny story, got acquired by the broker that helped us sold Norbert, so a company called FE International. They are a specialized broker in B2B, SaaS, e-commerce. So they do M&A in that space. Previously, I was also working as a contract product designer, worked with e-commerce brands like Yusk, Land Rover, and also for Yelp. I will see why it's important in a second. Now, I run two companies, Bootstrap. First is Improve MX. It's a tool to help you forward emails at scale. So let's say you are a bootstrapper or you're a bit of a developer with a hitch to buy a lot of domain names, but you want to only monitor the emails to one of your inbox. So what you can do with our tool is like you can very quickly point your MX settings, so DNS settings to our tool, like set up your aliases, and then it will all redirect to your email address. That's like the solo use case, but we also have like big enterprise companies that are using us, like IBM, WISE, the WHO, Berkeley University, or even the MIT. So we forward up to, I think, 30 million emails a month. It's like 1 million per day. It's big, believe me. And we have about 100,000 users. The second thing is a bit more new. We launched it in October this year. It's like kind of our big bet. It's to revolutionize customer support by bringing it to the modern area. So we've done customer support ourselves for our own tools. And we realized there was always a gap, right? Like it's always seen as a cost center. But what if it could help you actually grow your business and like learn from your customers in a much better way? And so this is what we are trying to do, build the modern tooling for customer support that can help you grow. We also took a bit of a different route because I myself been struggling with mental health issues for the past, like, I don't know, 10, 15 years. And doing support has been something that was kind of triggering me all the time. So I would connect on the support tool of that we were using at the time, and typing every letter in the browser bar felt like an excruciating pain because I knew I was going in for an hour of like angry customers and people reporting bugs and like, et cetera, et cetera. So what we've done with Fernand is try to help you really focus, look at one thing at a time. We use a lot of psychological levers to bring that calmness to this flow. It's also really incredibly fast and snappy. If you use Linear, for example, we are trying to be the Linear for customer support. Keyboard shortcuts for everything as well. Great. But those kinds of are my side projects. I actually work as a principal product designer at Yelp. And it's in an entirely different league, right? So Yelp is a company that you've probably heard of. The mission of Yelp is to connect people with great local businesses. So mostly known for bars and restaurants, but you can also find plumbers and, I don't know, gardeners, any kind of home services or business, really. So again, different scale. Last year, it crossed 200 million reviews and also just crossed $1 billion in net revenue in 2022. So yeah, cool, all great, but wait, I'm sure you all have one question in mind right now. It's like, okay, how do you find time for all of this, right? So a couple of strategies. First, at Yelp, I work a 4-day work week, so only Monday to Thursday, and I have Friday as a focus day for my companies. And then you might ask yourself, well, one day, what are you going to do on just one day? It's nothing, right? Well, actually, I use this kind of as a blocker to help me really focus on the things that matter right now and build without all the distractions. So I get this day to focus like a maniac on what is really needed and improve the product. But of course, I kind of also need to be flexible around it, right? Like you might get an email on a Monday that really needs your support, and so like, does it wait until Friday? No, of course. You know, I have kids, so I wake up really early. This morning, my daughter asked me if I could cook some pasta for her. I'm like, no, it's 6 a.m. I'm not gonna cook pasta, sorry. But you know, I drop her at the daycare, Kita here in Germany, and then I'm kind of way earlier than all of my colleagues at Yelp. So I get to, you know, check my emails, do a bit of care for my companies until I attend daily stand-up in the morning. Another thing is that we're remote and asynchronous. So, you know, we have people in many different countries. We can really work whenever we want, etc. It's kind of a best effort thing. I turn on my startup, I play with it, hopefully I make it better, not crash anything, and then I turn it off, and it's in a better state. And we also do with my co-founders weekend sprints. So, you know, because I'm working 4 days a week, I get Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. So we thought, okay, let's just like meet. He's based in France, I'm in Germany. So we either meet in France or in Germany. And we try to like really hack on the product and build one great thing. Kind of take this press release approach of what is something that would be really cool to put out? Like, what's something that people will look at on Twitter, X, and say, wow, that's really cool. These guys can ship stuff. So you see the illustration that I use is not like thinking and post-its and stuff. It's actually like we go down, we write code, and we make the product better. So one thing we've done with this weekend sprint recently is we went to Pellworm. Anyone know? It's a northern German island, very calm and nice. So it really fits with the philosophy of Fernand. And just I found this picture in my archives, and I had to share it. But like, this is my co-founder Cyril with a oven dish thing as a monitor stand. So I think it shows you that we mean bootstrapping, right? Like we can really improvise. So the most important thing is really that I'm not running an agency, right? I used to do contracting before. This wouldn't work. I'd have clients harassing me and I'd be like, oh, but wait, I'm waiting, wait Friday. No, doesn't work, right? So my company is running, it's always on, it's all the time, and it's automated, or at least everything that can be automated is. And it really runs on autopilot. So, for example, I could be talking right now in front of you, and my phone is there in my backpack. I could be getting a Stripe notification from a new payment. So this customer might be my founders on Google, registered, went through the funnel, be like, oh yeah, I need a premium plan, and paid us. And I didn't do anything. This happened in my sleep. This happened when I'm on vacation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's pretty cool. The other thing is that we are a pretty complementary founding duo with my co-founder, Cyril. Funny story, it's actually my brother-in-law. So it's a family thing. It became my brother-in-law later. But yeah, it's really, let's say, symbiotic. Like, I know exactly what makes him tick, what's his strengths, or are his weaknesses maybe, and he does the same for my strengths and weaknesses. And we know exactly how to communicate. We don't lose time, and I think we can jump a bit farther just because we have this like synergy. And so a bit more about my co-founder, Cyril. He's a backend engineer, software engineer, like kind of 360 engineer. And I mean, when you're bootstrapping, you kind of have to do everything anyway. So he's also doing a lot of the finance stuff, accounting, all of this. And myself, I'm working on the marketing part of it, content, product design, obviously. And then you see, I'll just tell you something about the synergy again. Cyril and I have a weird way to work on front end. So I write all the HTML and CSS. So I'm doing all the product design. Actually, I'm not really using Figma that much. I use Figma as a palette. So whenever I need a color, a font, or I need to solve a complex problem, I will go on Figma, solve it there, and then I go back directly to build in the browser. And that's how we get also these things faster and add value. But yeah, on front end, so I build HTML and CSS, and then Cyril goes on and add the logic to it. We use Vue.js, and so that's great because he doesn't need to communicate with me how the API endpoint work or something like this. He owns that part, and so we don't have that knowledge transfer. That usually it's something that takes a lot of time. But of course, we still need to handle operations, right? We have a running company. Improv at least is in a bigger kind of scale and volume. So how do we do this? Well, simple. We are two, Cyril and I. He's based in France, I'm based in Germany. But we've also just reinvested our revenue into operations. So we've hired people. We have Nate is a support engineer in the US, Matt, a support engineer in the UK, our SRE, site reliability engineer, basically the person that makes sure that everything works and the infra is keeping on running and delivering all those emails, is based in Pakistan. And then we just hired a head of product to also push that strategy and growth. Is based in Malaysia, James. So one thing funny that we do, again, a bit on this idea of not selling my time or blocking my time, we have a zero meeting policy. So all of these folks that I see, or 4 employees, I haven't had a single meeting with them in the past 3 years. And you might think, oh God, like, are they even performing at all? Like, do they know what they have to do? Yeah, it worked really well, like we do everything asynchronous. A Slack channel for issues we discuss. When someone goes on, let's say in Malaysia, the time zone is way different anyway than our support engineer in the US. And so like those things happen. You just have to accept that it's slower. And so, well, okay, you're not really going for generational wealth kind of thing. Like, are you going to pass that to your children and like buy fancy villas and stuff? I'm like, no. This looks like a lifestyle business, right? Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think that's a bad thing. It has actually many advantages, and I'll list them for you. So first, that we answer only to our customers. There is not a VC or someone that needs to like recoup their investment that will tell us, okay, this year, guys, like triple the revenue. Oh God, okay. Then this is when you start getting into a bit of dark patterns and try to hack away, like, okay, how we can crunch this last 30% of growth, etc. It also have lower risk. So I mean, it's all great, but like, if it fails, what happened? Of course, it would suck. I would be like, oh no, all this time invested. That's really sad. But I would be fine. I would move on. I didn't bet my house on it. I didn't divorce with my wife or whatever. I don't feel like I completely compromise on the things that I want in life. Also has a longer term focus. So for example, for Fernand, we spent the last 6 months building a crazy good knowledge base feature for Fernand. It's like a Notion-like thing with blocks and stuff. Believe me, this was really, really hard. Anything that has to do with rich text editors, even block-based, if there are engineers in the room, believe me, Prosmir and stuff, it's really hard. But it allows us to do this because we have this longer-term focus. So 6 months in the end is like, well, okay, why not? And so the best thing of all is that no dilution. We had 2 acquisitions, remember? We own the company 50-50 with my co-founders. So like, the entire amount that we got for those 2 exits went down to us directly. As soon as you take outside funding, then you get diluted, and it's maybe ending up not that much. So the next question is, well, okay, that's good, but like you must really suck at your day job, right? Like you're kind of, quiet quitting something. You're just trying to do the least possible ever. And just kind of reap the rewards? No, it's actually my #1 priority. And why? It's because I'm a founder myself, and I know what it is to like try to motivate your employees, try to make them care about what you're trying to achieve. So I have the utmost respect for this. And actually, you've seen the split, right? It's like 80%, 20% really, if you look at the week at least. And so this is how I see it. It's my #1 priority. And actually, I think I can prove it, because if you look at my timeline at Yelp, started in 2018, where I moved from a contracting position to a part-time position, so 4 days a week. And I joined as a senior product designer. Then moved on to lead product designer in 2021, got promoted. And even this year got promoted to a principal product designer, which is pretty much like the highest ceiling for individual contributor, at least at Yelp. So you see, great. But there are rules too. Of course, like they won't let me do everything that I wanted. That's totally fine. So there is a thing at Yelp called the moonlighting process. And it states the following. First, no conflict of interest, right? Like if I go on and say, hey, you know what? I have this idea. Maybe we could build a platform where people could review local businesses, but yeah, of course, like it makes no sense. So the business shouldn't be a competing business or has anything that could somehow like be connected to it. Although it's still fairly large and they are not really trying to trick you, right? Like just no conflict of interest. Second thing is to keep roles separate. So the time commitment should never like overlap with my workday at Yelp. Pretty simple. I shouldn't use Yelp resources like company issued laptop or software licenses, API keys, whatever. I should keep stuff confidential, but just like any other employee. I should not leverage my role and say, well, you know, I'm a product designer at Yelp, so you should trust me. This product is great. And then no endorsement, so I cannot put on my landing page that like, oh, Yelp endorsed this product. And you know what, like, look at this. Is this unreasonable? I think it's totally fine. And actually, I find it so fine that I put the same process in place for my own companies, for my employees. And so, yeah, I think it's working really well. And it's an honest arrangement, transparent, and upfront. So now you might ask, okay, why not focus 100% on my products? Are you just kind of not like missing out, wasting potential? Maybe that's the honest answer. But I still like what I've built for myself, and I'll tell you why. First, diversification. So as a designer, I really love to touch different things, different problems, different systems. And you know, when you work at a big company like Yelp, there's a design systems team. Everything is really well organized, neat, arranged. Sometimes it feels maybe a bit like putting Lego blocks together. And you don't get this, this creativity of like building something from scratch. It's already so mature. But not only about this, also about the diversification of risk. So, you know, as a founder, the risk register for my company, at least ImproveMX, because that's the most longer product that we hold, is looking a bit something like this. Like, oh, what if Gmail bans us? What if my co-founder leaves? What if the revenue plummet? What if we get sued? What if we lose a key employee? What if a competitor crushes us? Blah, 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 blah. And this is like 1% of what I can think of. And like sometimes it's hard to sleep at night. But at Yelp, on the other side, the question is much easier. It's probably coming down to this. What if I get laid off? Of course, there are other things, a bunch of other things, but I'm not in control. I don't have a say on the macroeconomics of the market or if there is a global pandemic coming down to crash us. So it feels like, oh, job safety is much of a thing. And founder anxiety is kind of a balance. The second thing is I get to experience scale. So, you know, I get to influence, or my work gets to be seen by millions of people. Whereas as a bootstrap founder, sometimes you work 6 months on a thing, let's say the knowledge base, and it's going to get used by three people, maybe. I hope not. But this is really nice, a really nice feeling. It also have great compensation, let's be honest. Like we are right now at 300K ARR, so annual recurring revenue. But this, you know what, is like one software engineer's salary in the Bay Area. So we are right now running a company, profitable. We have 4 employees. We still take dividends at the end of each year. And still, this is not like real money for the tech world sometimes. And why I'm sharing this is that I'm also get to reap these benefits. So I've built myself as an expert on the field, and a company like Yelp can really appreciate it, I think. And so I get rewarded very fairly. And the last thing is networking. So I get to work with the most amazing folks ever. Really hard to get these people when you're only doing 300K MRR, for example, because you have to deal with this thing, and you're not that attractive as a company to attract those people. So you have to resort to things like also offering 4-day work weeks, flexible, remote, asynchronous, etc. But again, really hard to attract like this top 1% talent. I get to work with those folks at Yelp. I have transfused from Google, Meta, all of this, Netflix, etc. And they bring so much. They are the smartest people I know. And also one thing happened, when they leave the company later on, they stay in your network. And this is great because they know you, they know if you're good or bad, but like, yeah, you can sometimes do something with this and use it as an optionality for your future career. So remember, this is kind of my structure. What if we can think of it from a different angle as well? What if both worlds can benefit from each other? So a couple of years ago, I worked on this flow. It's what we call the claim flow. It helps business owners add their business or claim their business on Yelp. And as you can see, it's a long-ass form with a lot of fields. It was not really great, so we redesigned it. A lot of interviews, a lot of things. Then we took a big swing and we redesigned it into more of a flow that takes you by the hand and asks you one question at a time. And you could see your Yelp page kind of like building in front of your eyes. So this is something I've led, and it was a big success. We like completely improved the conversion rate, and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, why am I sharing this? Is that there is something that you can learn from the bootstrap world of what you do in your side project, and that I can bring to a big corporate company like Yelp. One of those things is a founder follow-up email. Did you get this once? Like you sign up for a small-ish tool, and then the founder reach out to you later saying, hey, I'm Antoine, like, great, you sign up. Let me know if I can do anything. I'd love to learn more about your use case. Sure, that's great. It will never scale with a company like Yelp. But I got inspired, and I thought, what if this flow could get even better by learning why people abandon it? And I've sent an email that looks like this. Hey, my name is Antoine. Exactly the founder follow-up email. It's short, it's concise, it's to the point, it's unstyled, just no HTML or anything. So it looks like I've sent it myself. It's personalized to emulate one-on-one conversations. So I used the business name. Mario Plumbers, obviously, just generic. And then I've introduced myself, genuine human touch. And it's also not your typical sales email reach out, right? Like I said that I will personally reply to every email, and I did. And like for Yelp, what if this scaled? So I was able to transform a lot of this into actual claim. People were saying, oh, I didn't know I didn't claim. Or like there were typos in their email address. Like some simple thing that were very hard to uncover in the data, but that I was able to get later. And at a company like Yelp, they could really see this as an opportunity and be like, oh yeah, we could totally build a team around this that would do this all day. One thing that I want to share is that it's easy to care too much, and people who care the most are the ones that burn out fastest. So you see, I'm trying to kind of squeeze in like my job, and then I go there, and I get other side projects, and then I get an email and something, and like I keep telling my wife, it's just a quick email, or I can just squeeze in another work hour here, or I could do that now. It won't take long, I promise. She gets really annoyed with me sometimes. But I think in the end, I think I can say I've built a kind of well-oiled machine for myself. And I think it's working. It's really working. And I'm here evangelizing this to you guys. Like, you should absolutely do it. It's perfect. It's perfect. Well, no. It's complex. So since I'm a father, you can see Pauline over here is my daughter. She's 3 years old. Louis, just born in May, is 4 months old. This kind of rocked my world because, things like Focus Fridays, yeah, sometimes they turn out differently. Not always, but let's say they turn into half-focus Fridays, maybe the morning when my daughter is in the kindergarten. And then the afternoon might transform into something like cuddly Fridays. So this is me last week at the library with my daughter, hugging a hedgehog. Um, evenings. What about evenings? Can I squeeze an hour or two of like focus work there? Yeah, I'm actually more like sleeping because I'm just so tired. Sometimes I just crash in my daughter's bed. And, like I wake up at midnight, 2 a.m. Like, what am I doing here? So yeah, this is the thing. But you know what? First, I just want to share that I would not be able to do any of this without the support of my wife. She's amazing, and although I'm trying to be there as much as I can, this work structure is demanding, and so she supports me a lot in it. But also the lesson to all of this is that, you know, running a company or doing anything really is all about being flexible, flexibility. And so I've built something that works for myself. I don't try to say it will work for yourself too. You have to find out what is going to work for you. Maybe it's something similar, maybe it has nothing to do with this. But the point being, adapting to those changes, like having kids, maybe less happy thing, like getting sick or whatever. Like you will always get thrown things at you, and you'll have to adapt. And so I just want to reiterate and say, build the work structure that works for you, because you don't really have to choose. Thank you.